morning, friends. How are you? I was guided to hop on. I woke up this morning with from dreams, and I was a bit bothered by the dreams, and they were curious, and I'm still going to process those, and that's part of what the message was, to come out and hop on a call and share with you. And so here I am, not quite sure exactly how it'll unfold. That's kind of the magic of it, I suppose. But it was shown, just grab your camera, your morning coffee, share a cup of joe. Getting a little wink in that moment. As the words kind of flow through, and they're little symbolisms, I suppose. But yeah, so dreams have always been something in my life that have come and gone. There's times when I very active dreams, and then periods of times that, and I'm actually coming out of that, where very silent. Dreamland, I don't remember, or they don't wake me up. And there have been other times in my IT career, early in my career, when I was in the IT world, I would solve all my problems in my work, in my dreams, and I kept a journal next to my bed, and or would go out to it and write down, but often inspiration and problem solving happened in my dreams. So they're very powerful, and the message I was guided to bring is in the work that I do and the work that I want to share more of, it's that idea of our awareness. Everything that's coming through us is significant, and there's far more that happens in our dream world than we're obviously aware of, and it's so necessary and is so important on this journey. And so coming in and just noticing, like, what, if you're having dreams, or if dreams are something that wake you up and they're upsetting, or whatever have you, there's something to sit with. There's a message there. There's something percolating, trying to get your attention. And you can have a dream journal, you can just sit with them. And part of what I do and want to do more of is working with people to really discern that awareness. And a practice that I've cultivated through the work that I share is that inner dialogue and discernment. And it takes a practice to get to, and that's why building that muscle, you can work with me and I kind of guide you, and I'm that space of asking the questions from the mind's perspective that you may have, and really helping you stay in that meditative, hypnotic state. It's just a brain state that you can get to, where you can tap into those your awareness at a deeper level, and we can kind of unpack that, process it, come to a deeper understanding of that together. And so you can also do that on your own in a meditative state, and just asking for clarity to come through. And that is a practice that you can cultivate and many different ways to meditate. And if it is something that piques your interest, I'd love to chat with you and, find out what your inner awareness has to say to you about it. But also you can just do your investigation and where you feel pulled and a peak of curiosity, dive in there. So I'm going to tune in a little bit with you with the breath and my awareness, my expression, and maybe some sound. They're kind of the 4 pillars that I have found are very significant, and that, those moments of doing that, what I kind of call energetic cleanup. If there's something kind of in your field or in your awareness and there's, dis-ease there, or just kind of it's vibrating and pinging, it's like sitting out there saying hello, trying to get your attention, that's also in your field. And more than we know, others pick up on that, and often it's misunderstood because we're not understanding it, right? The clearer we are in our vessel, in our frequency, the clearer we are as we're navigating in that world. And even with that, when we have discomforts with aspects of ourselves, parts that are unresolved, that is something that we carry with us. And it's part of the human experience, but it's knowing that, right? Like if I'm getting triggered by something in the external world, it's likely something I need to come to terms with about myself. We all have them. We all have those pieces and parts where we're struggling, or we're maybe not, ready to look at it yet. And honestly, this dream that kind of percolated to it came down to vulnerability, and putting these videos out here, I think is a big piece that played into it, but it's also an invitation, because it is my true calling and heart's desire is to share my gifts and talents, and coming out into the world in a way that maybe I've kept hidden or silenced, and for the right reasons, honestly. And there's definitely been times and there are spaces and places in my life that there have been more ridicule and judgment, and so it's not easy, right, to show up in your authentic self when maybe you've kept that part hidden because it's just felt sacred. It's felt like, the sharing of it just wasn't comfortable yet. That was too uncomfortable, and I hadn't done the inner work to become comfortable with it. So with that, you kind of hold back, and in that space show up in spaces and places in your life and that are maybe not as authentic as you'd want them to be. And then it's vulnerable to show up there when change isn't something that is easy for everyone. And so with that, we co-create, we play roles, and we act and behave and interact with one another in certain ways. And from that space is our life experience, right? But with that, being vulnerable was the theme of my uncomfortable message and dream. So I take a moment, and when I sat down and set up, I looked up, and that beautiful moon is right in the perfect sight of my eye, just shining there, reflecting from that beautiful sun that keeps peeking through those trees back there. It's a magnificent day here in my yard, in this land, and there on this side the sun has melted. The frost there's frost on our grass. It is that time of year, and the weather's getting cooler, and glorious fall weather. And I'm soaking up the elements as much as I can, and I hope to have you and bring you with me even in the snow of our winters here where I'm at. Last year I spent mornings out in the snow, and it was something that was percolating for a long time, is how much I would go outside and be like cold, but at the same time, like, I remember as a child loving playing in the snow, loving it, like hours. I remember, ooh, there's some emotion there. That's pretty beautiful, actually. Oh, talk about vulnerability, right? Like, whew. Just sitting with that a moment. It is a really happy memory, I promise. It just brings up some tender, loving memories. But I remember laying in the snow in the back, like making snow angels in a snow fort, and watching and looking at the sky and the door. To my childhood home, you know, there, bright light. My dad's truck in the driveway, or not the driveway, the road, on the road, like right at the end of the walkway in the path, and just that light pulling in, and knowing I'm supposed to go to bed, right? But I was so enjoying that snow and wet, like, you know, all those things. I was like, oh, I don't want to go out and get wet in the snow and feel cold, but for some reason I just loved it as a kid. So tuning into those like beautiful experiences and allowing ourselves to go back like the child and really allow ourselves to enjoy things we might think we wouldn't like, and to take the time, to take the time to savor the moments. So thank you. I'm letting me move through some beautiful rememberings. It's one thing in the practice of allowing the emotions to flow. They are the issues in our tissues. Not that that was an issue in a bad way, right? It was a beautiful one, but for some reason it evoked some emotion that had not been processed and was just ready to flow in that moment in such a tender, loving, caring way. So this practice, many are often afraid of what might come up. I hear that so often. They don't want to be hypnotized or regressed into a state because they may not remember, or they may remember something they don't want to. And I promise you, I've worked with a lot of trauma. Sexual trauma is where I've spent most of my my time with people, and what comes up in the most gentle and compassionate way. Our awareness and that force that's animating it is really, only shows you what you're ready for, and in very curious ways will it get the message across that are very gentle and loving. So trusting the process and moving the issues out of our tissues is really part of what I work with people on. And it doesn't always have to be deep, big traumas like sexual trauma. And sometimes it's just our processing our life experience, like that moment in my beautiful childhood memory, I suppose mourning the days of just being that easy, right? Really allowing the joy of the moment, with the biggest problem being I have to go inside and I don't want to. Bedtime, like whatever it was back in that day, that light was like pulling me, like you have to go in, but I just wanted to stay. And a beautiful memory to reflect back on. So thank you for sharing this morning with me. I hope it inspires you to pay attention. If something wakes you up in the night or in the morning, you wake up and remember your dream, write it down, sit with it if you can. Maybe inspiring a practice of sitting in your morning, allowing the day to slowly roll in. Believe me, I used to be a night person, or so I thought, which I was then too, but in mornings, I grew up with my friends knocking on the door in the midday wanting us to come out and play, and my sisters and my mom and I, we would just be sleeping in. We liked to sleep in, and that was beautiful for that season of my life. But as I got older and a busy mom, and how I thought for a while how I wished I was a morning person, and I made it a practice and I became one, and it is the most magnificent part of my day. It often was my day before the day, and now that I'm transitioning to a different utilization of my day, I guess, I have more of a blend of that throughout. But it is so beautiful to create a morning practice, to really be in the stillness, in the quiet, if you can, in the elements. And taking those moments whenever you can. Must be hunting season, or there may be a shooting range out there. I definitely hear practice shots or something. Very active little birdies over here. And I apologize for the road traffic. I am in a neighborhood. It's kind of a busy road. And definitely road traffic down there, but it's part of it. Okay, friends. My Matt's calling me, I think. Well, I know. So, going to go and warm up my coffee. I don't think the mat on the slippery, frosty, wet grass sounds fun. Maybe I'll bring it out here. The coolness. So, thank you for sharing this morning with me, and or whenever you find it. And if you're curious and want to, tune in around anything you're carrying and explore it, if you want to tune in and use it as a creative space for inspiration, or if there's healing that you want support with, reach out. And my info is somewhere. I'm still figuring out all of that, but I will probably post this on YouTube and share it on my social medias, and there's links to my website, and DM me or whatever. But also share and like and inspire others if this is something that you feel would serve. Feel free to share. Thank you, and have a beautiful day. And it's full spectrum, right? That moon is so stunning. The energy of the sun and the moon right now is glorious, glorious, glorious. So I'm gonna go enjoy that. Many blessings and much love. Mwah.